To access the test results, now that we have run OONI Probe, all we need to do is click on the test results section. In the test results section, on the top header, we have some key information. On the one hand, we are informed of how many tests we have run, as in how many groups of tests. We are informed on how many different networks we have performed our testing. In this case, that is one network, and how much data we have used in the process. The test results are thematically and chronologically grouped. On the one hand, based on the specific month and date when the testing was performed, and thematically based on the different types of tests. We can see that the tests are clustered by websites, experimental, performance, middle boxes, instant messaging, circumvention, and so on, similarly to the types of cards through which we perform testing. Every category, every row informs you of the type of testing that was performed. In this case, we can see that we ran the websites test. We are informed on which network the testing happened. In this case, we performed testing on Vodafone Italia in Italy. We know that based on the country code, and this is the ASN, the identifier of the network. And we're also informed of the specific date and time when the testing was performed. In this case, we can see that we tested websites on the 30th of March 2022 at 4 p.m. local time. And finally, on the side here, we have some key information about the results. Here we can see that we tested 55 different websites, and out of the 55 different websites, only one of them presented potential signs of blocking. So to inspect this further, we need to click on this row in order to access the test results. Similarly to before, we have some metadata at the top. Here where it informs us on how much data was used in order to test websites, how long it took to run the test and to test the websites, the specific country where the testing was performed, where we display the country code, in this case IT for Italy, and the specific network where the testing was performed, in this case Vodafone Italia. And below, we can see the long list of the 55 different websites that we tested. For every tested website, we can see that there is an icon on the side which displays the category and the type of website that we tested. This is also used elsewhere, as we will show in a later video. We can see which specific website was tested, and we have an indicator to give us a snapshot of the type of result. Generally, when you see a tick, that indicates that the tested service was accessible based on OONI's methodology. If, however, you see an exclamation mark, like this one, this indicates that the tested website might be blocked. To actually find the test result, all we need to do is click on one of these rows. Let's assume we want to look at the test result pertaining to the testing of Instagram.com. By clicking on this row, we can access the test result on the testing of Instagram.com. We see that this website was tested, and there is a banner that is color-coded which indicates the result. Green is used to annotate results that are found to be accessible based on our methodology. And similarly, we can see a tick, which indicates that everything seems to be okay. We can see that Instagram was tested with the web connectivity test on the 30th of March at 4 p.m. local time on the Vodafone network. And we are informed below that based on the testing, Instagram.com was found to be accessible on this network in this specific moment in time. If you're curious to learn how the test works and any potential limitations that the methodology may have, you can click here to read how specifically the test works. But this screen here only provides an overview of the test result. How can we inspect the actual data to see what happened during the testing? In this case, you can click on the Data button over here, where you'll be presented with the raw data. And under the Test Keys section, you can find all the relevant data to inspect further. And you can close the data section by clicking on the X in the top right corner. As mentioned, you not only have access to the test result directly in your OONI Probe app, but by default, your OONI Probe test result is also automatically published. And one of the places where it's published on is OONI Explorer. By clicking on this button here, Show on OONI Explorer, you can access your published test result. This will open up in the web browser where you will find your published test result, and which you can easily then share by copying and pasting and sharing with others. Every OONI Probe test result has more or less the same format, in the sense that you have a high-level description of the test result, you can find the data to inspect further, and you can get the published link to the measurement by clicking on this button. If a website were instead to be found potentially blocked, it would include an exclamation mark. By clicking on this row, we can access the actual test result. In this case, unlike previously, we see that the header is orange, which is a color scheme that we have adopted in order to indicate potential blocking. In this case, we see that it might be blocked by means of DNS tampering. However, it's important to highlight that false positives can occur, so this type of test result should not be necessarily treated as evidence of internet censorship, as it may potentially look like censorship but not be. If you're curious to learn more about false positives, why and how they can occur, please click over here so that you can access our documentation to learn more. But probably one of the best ways to evaluate whether and to what extent this may be a false positive is by looking at the raw data, which you can access through the Data button and expand upon through the test keys. We will be discussing how to interpret OONI data further in the next chapters. And similarly, you can access your published test result by clicking on the Show in OONI Explorer button to get your published test result, and then you can share the link with others. So if we were to look at a different category, we can select the category that we're interested. Let's assume we would like to have a look at the testing of instant messaging apps. Here we can see that this card was run on the same network as before, same date and time, and that 4 different apps were tested, all of which were found to be accessible on the tested network, none of which was found to be blocked. So let's click on this row in order to inspect further. What we can see is that we tested 4 different apps: Facebook Messenger, Telegram, WhatsApp, and Signal. And as is indicated through the tick that is next to each of them, we can see that they were all found to be accessible. This is also indicated on the top, where we can see that 4 apps were tested and none of them were found to be blocked, and that instead all 4 of them were found to be accessible. To explore further, click on one of the rows in order to find the relevant test result. If we open, for example, the Facebook Messenger test result, we can see that when Facebook Messenger was tested on Vodafone Italia on the specific date and time, it was found to work. And similarly to the testing of websites, this is annotated with a tick and a green banner. And below, we can see that the reason why we determined that Facebook Messenger works on the tested network in the specific moment in time is because the test was able to successfully connect to Facebook's endpoints and resolve to Facebook IP addresses. This is also provided as summary information at the bottom. To explore further, you can click on the Data button in order to inspect the raw data, where we can see that everything was consistent and worked as expected. And similarly, you can access the test result on OONI Explorer by clicking on this button over here. Very similarly, for every other test result, such as WhatsApp, you will see that you will get some key information about whether it was found to be working on the tested network or if it presented signs of blocking. In this case, we can see that the test successfully connected to WhatsApp's endpoints, registration service, and web interface. And for these reasons, we consider that based on our methodology, WhatsApp appears to work on the tested network. If, however, WhatsApp were to be blocked on your network, this would have been indicated with an orange banner and an exclamation mark, and it would have been informing you that it is potentially blocked. To explore whether a service is in fact blocked, we recommend looking at the raw measurement data and also looking at data in aggregate, as will be explained in the following chapters. If we would like to look at a different category, we could choose, for example, the circumvention one, in which case we see that two circumvention tools were tested, Siphon and Tor. If we click on Siphon, we can see that Siphon was found to work on the tested network in the specific date and time because the test was able to successfully bootstrap a Siphon connection. This means that Siphon should work since we're able to use the Siphon tunnel on the tested network. Similarly, when we tested Tor, we found that it works as well on the tested network. And we provide details pertaining to this, showing that we're able to establish connections to the Tor directory authorities and to Tor bridges. If we choose the performance card, here it's not a question of blocking or accessibility, but rather this provides metrics on network performance. So if we choose the NDT speed test, we can get some key metrics on download and upload speed, which help inform how well our network is performing. Similarly, we can evaluate video streaming performance on our network by looking at the metrics for the Dash streaming test.